Attention, people who still care. How can regular people like us invest in a way that fixes our broken financial system? This is the question we ask on the Crowd Effect podcast. I am your host, Paul Lovejoy, activist investment advisor at Stakeholder Enterprise. On today's show, Bank of America was fined $250 million last week by the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau for opening fake credit card accounts and double dipping their customers' fees. Double dipping? Gross! Quick, somebody hide the guac and onion dip. But before we talk about Bank of America, I first want to tell a quick story. The social faux pas of double dipping became popularized in the 1990s with the hit sitcom Seinfeld. In the episode The Implant, Jerry Seinfeld and his friend Kramer convinced the character George Costanza to fly to Detroit for a funeral to console a woman George is dating that could help him make this woman his girlfriend. George is cheap and doesn't want to pay for a plane ticket, so Kramer suggests buying the airfare using a death in the family 50% discount. While at the wake, George asks the family physician for a death certificate as proof for the airline to get the discount. The physician reluctantly agrees, and George feels on top of the world. He strolls over to the hors d'oeuvres, grabs a chip, places it in the dip, takes a bite, and then goes back into the dip with the same chip. The brother of George's would-be girlfriend notices George's socially unacceptable behavior and calls him out. An argument ensues. George creates a scene and is kicked out of the wake, with this woman wanting nothing to do with him. In the end, he tries to get the discount from the airline by showing the ticket agent a Polaroid of him next to a casket. The act of double dipping was the reason and the cause for George to lose both the girl he wanted and the discount. Now, double dipping in a communal party dip is rude and inconsiderate. Double dipping banking fees is greedy and unethical. Which brings us to our main story of the day. The Consumer Financial Protection Bureau, or the CFPB, fined Bank of America $250 million last week for illegally charging customers junk fees, opening fake accounts, and withholding credit card rewards. Yikes! The CFPB found that Bank of America violated a number of laws, including the Truth in Lending Act, the Fair Credit Reporting Act, and the Consumer Financial Protection Act. The bank's illegal practices included double dipping on fees, where Bank of America charged customers multiple fees for the same transaction, such as charging a fee for declining a debit card transaction and then charging a fee for insufficient funds. They also opened fake bank accounts, with the Bank of America employees opening millions of these fake accounts without customers' knowledge or consent. These accounts were then used to generate fees for the bank. It also helped the Bank of America employees reach their quotas to continue being employed with Bank of America. They also withheld credit card rewards. And that's low. You know, you're using their credit card and you're withholding the rewards that the customers had earned. Shame on you, Bank of America. The CFPB's $250 million fine is the largest ever imposed on a bank for violating the Consumer Financial Protection Act. The fine will be used to compensate harmed consumers and to fund consumer education programs. Bank of America has agreed to pay the fine and to take steps to prevent future violations. The bank has also agreed to provide restitution to harmed consumers. This is not the first time Bank of America has been fined for abusing its customers. A few recent episodes. One was in 2014, where the bank was ordered to pay $727 million in redress for its victims for illegal credit card practices. In 2022, the bank was fined $10 million for unlawful garnishments and $225 million for botching the disbursement of state unemployment benefits. So none of this surprises me. Wells Fargo a few years ago was doing the same exact thing of opening fake accounts to for employees to reach their quotas. None of this is surprising. Bank of America is the most abusive corporation in the United States, according to the Violation Tracker Project, which tracks all penalties from corporations doing business in the United States. At the very top of the list is Bank of America, the most penalized corporation since the year 2000, since the Violation Tracker Project has been keeping track of this. So in that time span, Bank of America has been fined $87 billion with a B. $87 billion. And they are the most fined corporation by a long shot at $87 billion. Now, to put that in perspective, the third most penalized industry, not corporation, but industry, is the oil and gas industry. Bank of America, one corporation, has been fined more than the entire oil and gas industry by $30 billion. That's how abusive Bank of America is. The second most penalized corporation is another bank, Chase. And the fourth is another bank at Wells Fargo. And the sixth most penalized corporation is another bank, Citigroup. Now, these four banks, they control half of all the banking assets in the United States. And they are this is the most abusive industry by leagues. And here they are once again being fined for abusing customers. Now, we can't have our banks abusing its customers. This has been going on far too long. However, it's not that these banks haven't been, obviously they've been fined a lot, and there's tremendous amount of regulations that are being put on to these banks because we need to hold these banks accountable for their unethical acts. But here's the problem. Bank of America, along with the other banks, they are publicly traded for-profit corporations. And because they are publicly traded, there is this constant pressure to increase profits every quarter. When the quarterly reports go out, investors take a look at it, and if earnings are down and projections are down, then, well, the stock prices go down. And the shareholders can legally fire the executive team at any of these corporations. And when the quarterly report says is glowing, profits have increased, projections look great, then, well, bonuses start being handed out to executives. So there's this constant pressure to increase quarterly profits, and that never goes away. It doesn't matter if you regulate it, you can't regulate that pressure out. And when Bank of America or any of these corporations get fined, well, the pressure doesn't go away. And in fact, now it just makes it harder to increase profits because of the fine. It makes it more expensive to operate. And Not only that, you're losing money. So what happens? Well, they get creative with their fees, and they double dip their fees, and they open new fake credit card accounts just so they can uh, uh, just so they're able to show that they are increasing their profits, just to relieve this pressure that these executives are facing. And they just put that pressure down onto their employees, saying, okay, if you don't open so many accounts, you're fired. And so it's this cycle that just never ends. The abuse, it doesn't seem like it will ever end. And Bank of America just has so much power. In the end, they control $2.4 trillion in banking assets. It's crazy. And you have a corporation like Bank of America that the United States depends on. It is one of these too big to fail institutions. Sadly, we rely on the most abusive corporation for financial stability. That's insane. So this leads me to my financial tip of the day. Take your money out of a commercial bank. It's serving you no good. Instead, put it in a credit union. Now, a credit union offers all of the same conveniences that a bank does. But there's a huge difference. There is no pressure to increase quarterly profits because credit unions are nonprofit. And they're self-sustainable, easily self-sustainable. That's the beauty of a nonprofit banking structure. Because they will generate revenue. And any of the revenue that they generate, it doesn't get dispersed to shareholders. It gets pumped right back into the credit union. This way, it offers its members really valuable services like financial education. It offers higher interest rates on savings accounts. It offers lower interest rates on loans. They offer lines of credit that Bank of America and Chase, they just don't want to touch. They offer better small business loans, growing the community. The board of directors is diverse compared to Bank of America or Chase, where they all have MBAs from an Ivy League institution. With credit unions, it's super diverse, and it all comes from the community where the credit union is. Now that is just one thing that we could do, a simple, easy step that we can take to take away the power of and the abuse of corporations like Bank of America, who are just casually abusing us. The other thing we can do is become something called a crowd lender. There are investment platforms that regular, everyday people with as little as $10 can crowdfund a loan. And so instead of Bank of America reaping the profits from the loan, well, regular people are. This is a market-based redistribution of wealth that we desperately need. And so we're living in this unique time where we can do something about the abuse. We can take our power back. We can put money into a credit unions. We can become a crowd lender, and we can take steps to fix our broken financial system. My name is Paul Lovejoy. I am a crowd investor, and I see you are one too. If you'd like to know the three secrets to fix our broken financial system legally, ethically, and without confrontation, go to stakeholderenterprise.com.
What are you doing? What? Did you just double dip that chip?
Excuse me?
You double dipped the chip.
Double dipped? What are you talking about?
You dipped the chip, you took a bite, and you dipped again.